Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, I think for most people, when you look at yourself in your own financial situation, and then you look at others in their situation, you often think to yourself, I'm just doing okay financially, but everyone around me is thriving. And from the outside looking in, it seems like everyone has more money than me, and I am behind. And why is this? Why does everybody seem to have more money than you? Well, in this video, I want to talk about why it seems this way. Because when it comes to monetary or material wealth, there is a reality behind it that we often don't talk about or we often don't recognize. There are many different reasons why it seems like everybody has more money than you. And in this video, I want to talk about 7 of those reasons. And when you understand these reasons, you understand that you are not as behind as you think you are. And the first reason is most rich people are severely in debt. Now, the truth behind many rich people is that they are not actually rich, but they are just severely in debt. The reality of many people who have very nice material possessions is that they did not buy these things with their own money, but they bought the car with a car loan, the big house with an expensive mortgage, and nice possessions with a credit card. And although from the outside looking in, it seems like they have more money than you, if you took a look at their financial situation, you would discover that these people are in a tough financial spot, and you're doing much better financially. You would discover that they're one surprise away from financial ruin. Many people who we think seem to have a lot of money because they have a lot of nice material possessions are actually just extremely financially irresponsible. They buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't like. A lie that we've been told about wealth is that wealth is a very visible thing. It's fancy cars, nice watches, and first-class plane tickets. However, the truth about wealth is that real wealth is invisible. It's the fancy cars not purchased, the watches not worn, and the first-class plane tickets declined. Many people we assume have a lot of money are really just severely in debt. Now, the second reason is you're not seeing the trade-offs. Now, given what I just said, I don't want people to start to think that everyone that has nice possessions is severely in debt, because the truth is, some people have very high salaries and they can afford these things, and there's nothing wrong with buying nice possessions. For example, when you look at a job like a Wall Street banker, they make so much money that they can afford to drive luxury cars, live in high-rise apartments, and spend money like it is no object. And from the outside looking in, you might think to yourself, I would love to make that much money. However, the reality of these high salary jobs is that they often come with many trade-offs, where they're working 100-hour weeks, are always on call, and miss out on a lot. And although they're making so much money and can afford anything they want, I think many of them reach a point where they question if the money is worth it. The reality of making a lot of money is that it does come with a lot of trade-offs. Another example of this is at a conference about work-life balance, Bill Gates admitted that he did not take a single day off in his entire 20s. High salaries often come with a catch, and although we envy these people that make very high salaries, if we saw the trade-offs that they had to make that salary, we would probably question whether or not it was worth it. Now, the third reason is you're not seeing the unfair advantages that led to the success. There's a quote by my favorite motivational speaker, Les Brown, that goes, "Judge a person not by what they have accomplished, but what they had to overcome for their accomplishment." The reality of life is that it is unfair and we do not all have the same advantages. I mean, if life were a race to success, we all wouldn't start at the starting line, but some people would have advantages that would give them a head start. Others would have disadvantages that would place them before the starting line and put obstacles in their way, while others would almost begin at the finish line. And when the gun goes off and the race begins, obviously the people who have advantages are going to achieve a higher level of success in life. But that doesn't mean they're better than the people behind, but it's just that they were born with more advantages in life that gave them a head start. I believe that at least in the United States, we all have a shot at social mobility, and if we work hard enough, we can achieve some level of financial success. However, we also have to recognize that the playing field isn't level, and if someone has a higher level of financial success than another person, it's not because of hard work alone, but there are a lot of factors at play. And when people seem better off financially than you, just know that we're all running a different race, and achieving success is a relative concept. Now, the fourth reason is the upward comparison trap. Now, another reason it seems like everyone has more money than you is because you might be caught up in something called the upward comparison trap. And this is when you start comparing yourself to someone who has more than you, which makes you feel insufficient and leaves you envious and jealous. There's a quote that goes, "Comparison is the thief of joy." As human beings, we have this tendency to always compare ourselves with those above us, and when we do that, we fail to see how far we have come and what we have. And everyone seems to have more money than you. When you get caught up in this upward comparison trap, when you're always focused on what others have, you never feel sufficient in life and you fail to live with gratitude. Now, the fifth reason is you're living your life based on someone else's definition of success. In the United States, we have a very set image of what we think it means to be successful. We think that success is the guy in the top-down convertible with a high-level job and living in a large house. In the United States, success is often attributed to material possessions and status. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with this image of success. However, so many people will blindly chase this image. And if they haven't achieved it, they feel insufficient and behind in life. Many people spend their entire lives chasing this definition of success that somebody else has told them. And I think that many people would be much happier if they sat down and created their own definition of success. Maybe being free from the shackles of material possessions, being able to spend more time with their family, and being comfortable financially. Maybe that definition would bring them more joy in life. However, most people never take the time to create their own definition of success and instead just default to this American definition of material possessions and status. And because of that, they always feel insufficient, and it always seems that everyone else is doing better than them. Now, the sixth reason is wealth grows the most towards the end. Often when it comes to generations, younger people will compare their financial situation to older people and see financial indicators of wealth and think, they had it easier, it's not fair. And although there is some degree of truth to this, and certain things have gotten more difficult over time, a huge reason for this is simply because older people have had their wealth grow for a lot longer of a period of time. And if you understand how wealth grows, you know that the biggest amount of growth occurs at the end. For example, Warren Buffett has a net worth of $109 billion, but 97% of his wealth occurred after the age of 60. Wealth takes time, and for the average person, even if you are extremely financially responsible, you still won't see the benefits until you get to an older age. And oftentimes, especially when it comes to younger generations looking at older generations' wealth, it seems like they have more money because they had it easier. But the truth is the bulk of your wealth will grow towards your older years. But as long as you're being consistent financially right now, you will eventually reach that level once you get older. Now, the final reason is you haven't defined enough. I think that when you really boil it down, the biggest reason why it seems like everybody has more money than you do is because you haven't defined enough. You haven't decided how much you need in life to be happy, and when you haven't defined enough in life, you end up focusing so much on what others have. The truth about the world that we're living in is that there will always be somebody who's making more than you, has nicer things than you, and has higher status than you. And if you live your life always focusing on what others have that you don't, and are always wanting more, you will end up living a life of envy and jealousy. However, when you define enough in your life and you decide how much you need to live a happy life, you will stop being envious and jealous towards others and feel content. And when you feel content in your own situation, you don't care how much other people have, and it doesn't seem like everybody in this world has more money than you. And those are the 7 reasons why it seems like everybody has more money than you. And with that, muchas gracias, que tenga un buen día, nos vemos chicos.